Business ownership has never been hotter, but how do you do it? That's where I come in. Allow me to guide you on your journey. Welcome to Ion Franchise. This episode sponsored by SEO Samba. Empower your franchise with predictable results and AI-driven marketing. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another fabulous episode of Ion Franchising. I'm your host, Lance Graulich, and today we're going to go with my favorite sector, food. As most of you know, I've owned a lot of restaurants, franchises especially. So today we have a gentleman that was the former CEO of Jimmy John's, a beloved brand, and he is the founder of Craveworthy Brands, Gregg Majewski. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be here like always.
I am so happy to have you. So Craveworthy. Well, Greg, let's go way back and figure out how Greg got into the world of restaurants and franchising.
So I got in by complete accident. I joke about it all the time. I was in college on my way to go to Arthur Anderson to be one of two international forensic accountants that were hired in that year. And it was like the most pristine job. I paid my way through college, through restaurants, learned how the industry. Never for the life of me wanted to do it afterwards. And one night sitting in my apartment, I got a phone call and I picked up the phone and it was this loud, booming voice asking me if I wanted a job. And he got my resume and would I come and be an intern? And I go, who are you? And he goes, it's Jimmy John. I'm like, I don't know who Jimmy John is. Doesn't help me. And he goes, Jimmy John sandwiches. Everyone knows me. And nope, still no clue. So I'm like, all right, this is a joke,
Wait,
right?
how did he get your number?
So somehow somebody gave him my resume. And to this day, we still don't know.
That's funny.
And finally, he convinced me to take a meeting with him. So I went to Champaign and I had a meeting with Jimmy. And it's one of those things that is sort of like when you say yes to something that you could have said no to and probably should have said no to, and your life changes forever. And at that moment, I'm like, there's no way. But I had a semester off and I'm like, all right, what the hell? And I said yes. And the rest was sort of history. And from there, I went from an intern to controller to CFO to chief operating officer to CEO in a matter of like less than 2 years. And it was the right decision and the best thing I've ever said yes to in my work career that sort of gave me that platform to go.
And what year was that roughly, and how many locations were there?
So it was 1998 and he had under 30 restaurants open at that point.
Amazing.
So, and again, like he thought he was so big at that point, everybody would know who he was.
Yeah.
But no one knew, or I had no clue.
That is the entrepreneurial spirit.
Yep.
So that was your sort of springboard, if you will. From there, you got bit by the franchising bug, so to speak, and realized, hey, this is pretty good deal.
Yeah, I mean, I got in and I loved it. I loved the fact that you could do a little bit of everything, that you were able to be a part of both accounting, ops, marketing, sales. It was everything all in one roof. And the part that really sold me on franchising, though, was the fact that you could change people's lives.
Yes.
And that franchising was an avenue for people to all of a sudden create generational wealth with not going and taking the gamble on an unknown brand with no systems on their own. It gave them a leg up. And I watched as so many of our mom and pop franchisees back in the day at Jimmy John's became millionaires and got to be a part of that. And that was just so cool that I just fell so in love with this industry that I've never stopped.
Yeah, that's amazing. So where did Craveworthy come from?
So Craveworthy was an idea that I had a long time ago, but I finally, about 2018, after leaving Jimmy John's and everything else, and constant PE trying to ask me to run their funds and that type of stuff, I decided to put together an Invesco and create a platform company for emerging franchise concepts to grow and compete against the big boys in the industry.
Yeah.
So back in the day when we were building Jimmy John's, it didn't matter how big you were. Everyone was playing in the same field. And today that field has gotten so much bigger and so much harder to compete in because you're now marketing digitally. You can't just send a coupon and win. You've got to be in the same ad space as Taco Bell and Yum and everybody else, that you're fighting for these new age marketing techs, and you couldn't compete. And so we decided to create this platform company, eliminate the mistakes of an emerging franchise typically has, because we've already done those mistakes, and give them a leg up on getting to the point that they want to get to at the same time. And so our first acquisition and our first sort of group was Wing It On, which is a competitor to Wingstop. Budlong Southern Chicken, Lucky Cat Poke, and Crafted were the first four brands that I brought under this portfolio. And that was, think about it, that was January of 2023. And today we're sitting at 11 brands in this portfolio and growing.
Amazing, amazing. And they're all restaurants.
Every brand that we're involved in is a restaurant. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I have no desire to be in the service side. So
yeah,
I get asked all the time, will you take a service concept? No.
yeah,
And it's not because I don't think they're great. I just don't know it the way I know restaurants. And so
yeah.
I want to focus on what we know.
So restaurants are still, last I checked, the most popular sector or category of franchising. Obviously, the retail component of restaurants, everybody knows them because they're very visible in every neighborhood in America. So, but people are scared of restaurants. Myself as a broker, although I loved restaurants and owning them, there are people that are scared of them because they worry about the perishable goods, the employees, etc. So, what do you do to help them with all of that? And this is kind of a general question across all of your brands. Do you have a training team that is cross-trained in multiple brands? Are they separate? How do you handle all that?
So each brand has their own set of training team, but the most important thing a franchisor has to do for their franchisee is give them the tools and then teach them how to do the tools. There's a lot of brands out there that will put you in training for 3 to 4 days and say, go open up your restaurant.
Good
And
luck.
it's like, how the hell can you do that?
Yeah,
And then there's the smart brands that put you through a rigorous training program and actually give you the tools and be your partner to get you to where you need to be. So our minimum training program is 21 days in full serve or QSR. Dirty Dough, which is a cookie concept, which is the easiest brand I have in my portfolio. That's a 14-day or a 10-day training program, but you don't have to learn as much. So you try to make sure that they have everything up and running that they need to run the restaurant. But training does not stop, and a franchisor's job does not stop when you finish training. You train and you're your franchisee's partner through every step of the process. So we go above and beyond, and this is what made Jimmy John so successful, is that we go above and beyond being their support team. We have weekly phone calls with them. We talk about inventory with them. We talk about how are you going out and guerrilla marketing. We talk about how to build your sales. We're actually a partner through and through, and we actually come into your restaurants and help you throughout the year. We don't come in and just leave you a report card and say, screw you, you suck. We come in, and if your restaurant's dirty, we clean it for the day. We won't even evaluate you. We'll help clean it to get it back to where it needs to be and then walk you through why it's important and why it's something that you have to strive for. Those are the differences in a good franchisor and someone who just leaves you to be.
yeah,
And restaurants are hard, but restaurants are amazing if done right.
yes.
And the returns can be gigantic.
So you said when done right. When does it go wrong? Does it start with the wrong, assuming you have the right concept, who is the wrong franchisee or the wrong person for a restaurant franchise?
Typically, anyone who buys a food franchise and doesn't have an operating partner, if you're not going to be in the restaurant and running the restaurant day to day, you're not going to be successful on the restaurant side. Restaurants are hard. They're building teams. You're dealing with people. You have to have somebody who's all in every day on these things.
Yeah,
And that can be your operating partner. That could be you. It doesn't matter who, but someone's actually got to run it like it's their business.
yeah,
And as you layer and you grow and you want to get to that multi-unit stage, which is everyone's goal, it's layering in the next level of overhead to make sure somebody is in those restaurants all the time.
right.
We can look at a ton of them that think they're investments. I can go get a high school kid and put a high school kid in there and let it run. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't matter how simple the concept is, it does not work.
Yeah,
Um, but if you do it and you build your team properly day one and you're a true operator and you don't, it doesn't matter what brand, any brand can be successful if you run it right. and you produce the food the way that you tried it when you bought it and you realize, oh crap, this is good food. If you do that and duplicate that and then go out and build your marketing and go out and build your team and you go out and build your customer service every day, you can be successful in any restaurant. It doesn't matter what the brand is.
Awesome. Across the Craveworthy portfolio, what percentage of your franchisees today roughly might be multi-unit owners?
So actually, excluding Dirty Dough, everyone in the Craveworthy family at this point is a multi-unit owner. They
Yeah.
all own different brands or different opportunities.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
and that's 26 years or 27 years of doing this. They want, who to go to. You want those people. And Craveworthy was set up in a way that multi-unit's hard. You can't have this or can't have that. If you stay in the Craveworthy family, there's no non-competes. So you can own 3 chicken brands because each one of my chicken brands is different. If you go to, for example, KFC, it doesn't matter if you have wings or not, you can't do it.
Right.
And we wanted our franchisees to stay in a DMA and stay in an area so they can build the team and the infrastructure to lower their costs and be more profitable. And that's sort of the idea and the engine of why we did this. I want my franchisees to win all the time.
Yeah, I love it. It's funny you said multi-unit is hard. I always said, well, it is hard because there's just more to do. There's more restaurants, there's more employees, et cetera. I always felt it was easier when I became a multi-unit operator because now I had more staff to do things for me and with me. When I was on my own with the first, let's say, Wingstop, it was hard because that's the baby. You can't leave the baby. You
Right.
have no other team other than under the roof of the first location. And then when I eventually got to 2 and 3 locations, I'm like, this is so much easier because now I
And
have my own systems based on the franchisors. So multi-unit is the dream that everybody wants. Nobody wants to buy a job, right?
no, but that's sort of the funny part is that it is hard, but to get to multi-unit is so hard.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
so once you get there, yes, you look back and go, oh my God, 1, 2, and 3 were impossible because from getting 1 to 2 is like earth shattering to people. Getting two to
Yes.
three is earth shattering.
Yep.
Once you get to 4, 5, and 6, you get a team that helps you do things and you're not scrambling all the time. And if someone is gone, you can pull from here and all that. But you can't just jump into multi-unit.
Yeah.
That process of getting to multi-unit is hard.
Yeah.
Once you're there, the where you can go is a rocket ship as long as you're investing properly and continuing to develop your restaurants. There's no
Yeah.
ending you.
So let's explore that a little further. I think the audience really wants to hear more about it, especially from an expert like you. What is that secret to scale? You were mentioning, if you have one, there are people that have one of something and never grow. But when you have two and then you have three, what is sort of the next step that jumps you from 3 to 30? Or, obviously you have to go 4, 5, 6, but give me some of those tips for the audience.
I mean, I hate to say it, it always comes down to cash and how much risk you want to have. So the people that go from 3 to 6 to 12 to 18 and keep building, they become risk averse and they're willing to put everything on the line to get to where they know they can be. And that's really the biggest difference between the people that stay at 1 and the people that get to 30 is
Yeah.
how much risk are you willing to take and how much are you able to put out there on yourself to strive. And if you're willing to do that and willing to be a true entrepreneur, because that's where that goes, and you want to create that generational wealth, you've got to realize that you can fail. And not every restaurant that you open is going to be successful. And as you become a multi-unit guy, more and more of those are going to have a risk of failing because not everything you open works. And you may think you have the best location and everything else, but all of a sudden the city may change the road pattern and do construction for 2 years, and you just walk away from that store. That's not failure. That's smart at that point because you have other things to fall back on. When you have that one store, you can't ever take that risk.
Yeah.
And because if that one store starts to fail, you have nothing. So that first store is so important. But then it's okay, I can always fall back and do this again. And once you sort of get that mindset that you can only fall so far and you can only go to 0. And if you built yourself up to 10, you can go back to 0, but you know you can get to 10 again. Once you get that mindset in your head, then this becomes different. And that's what the
Yeah.
people are doing that are growing at that point.
Sponsored by Leap Brands. From executive recruiting to hourly staff, Leap is your one-stop shop for all of your franchise talent. Love it. Yeah, it seems a lot safer bet when you already have 3 locations to get to 30 than 0 to 3, as you
Yep.
said. So,
Yeah, and banks want your kids. You're
yeah,
signing away everything. And that first group of stores, you have to do that. Unless you want to pay for it all, that's what you got to do. And that's hard. And that's the hardest decision that people can make. But once you make it and you go all in, it's so worthwhile. It's so amazing. And again, if you hit and you work it like it's yours, don't work it like it's your franchise company and you're working with. For me, you work it for you, the person who puts the money in and the person who goes every day, and you take that ownership mentality, you can go and you can go fast.
that's awesome. Speaking of going fast, let's talk a little bit about technology. You invest quite a bit in technology, and you've seen a lot over the years since the early days of Jimmy John's, especially to where you are now with Craveworthy. What does it look like technology wise these days?
So, I mean, think about it. 26 years ago, I was still using a register and writing delivery tickets on a third party ticket. It doesn't sound that long ago. I
No,
mean, that those were the days. And the restaurant tech has gotten so out of hand and so fast in the last 5 years that restaurants don't know how to handle it yet. And there's certain things you got to do and certain things that you got to jump in, but it's the hardest decision on what you take. And so I have a philosophy. I don't want to be first when I'm taking restaurant tech. There's much bigger people out there in this industry and always will be that can go ahead and test this stuff and make sure it works before I have to jump in. Let them do that.
yeah,
And then find the tech that's going to make your customer experience easier without losing hospitality. And a lot of the tech that we're putting in and a lot of the tech that we're testing right now in all these industries and all these areas because of higher wages and labor laws and everything else is eliminating a part of what makes restaurants so special, which is the hospitality component. And it doesn't matter if you come in and just have a quick burger or get a quick cup of coffee, there's a level of hospitality you expect when you're paying, 4 times what you can make it at home for, when you
right.
factor in all the costs. So hospitality is still why they come.
Yeah.
Make sure that it doesn't hit and take away that. And then it's invest smartly in how you retain your guests and how you are constantly getting new guests. For years now, all we've heard as a generation or in this generation of restaurant guests, loyalty customer, loyalty customer, loyalty customer. It's all we should be focusing on our marketing dollars. And that's at the best spots, 20% of your customer base.
Yeah.
We've neglected 80% of our consumers for the last 7 years as loyalty sort of kicked on, but those loyalty companies made a ton of money off of us.
Yeah.
And our transactions as an industry has gone down. We've seen transactions go down. It's not because we've actually lost them. We just don't focus on them anymore. So these restaurants that are focused so much on new with loyalty are the ones that are seeing positive transaction counts. Chipotle spends a fortune on acquiring new customers all the time.
Yeah.
They were the biggest brand out there, the most successful, highest stock besides Cava, that has, sort of went crazy, but they spent so much money on getting new customers and their sales are growing still. And so make sure you pick and choose the technology that actually generates for both parts of the business.
Yeah. So what really, when it comes down to, let's say, the marketing to get those customers in, what is kind of the secret sauce of what Craveworthy does to acquire those new customers? Is the digital marketing? We know word of mouth works, but it might be slow. But what is it that you guys focus on as a company across the brands?
It's got to be a combination of all of the above, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we believe in digital ads constantly. It's the cheapest way to go out there. We believe in social media because that's where the youth live and that's where the next generation pulls what they want to do. And then it's still not forgetting the people that don't look at either of them and get them the mailers and the ads and the TV spots and stuff like that. You got to do a little bit of everything and you can't afford it all. So it's pick and choose in rhyme and reason which one will give you the best ROI, but continue to give you that new customer base. And the
So it's
cheapest one
not
is digital.
right. Right. Digital is certainly hot. Has your media team made you do some kind of dancing video on TikTok to promote Craveworthy or anything yet?
We don't do any of those. I
Okay.
won't do any of those. They do. let them have fun, but it will not be me.
Yeah. No, my team asks me often, can we do this on TikTok? I'm like, no, you can. Maybe you can promote me. Um,
Yeah,
so
but do not see me.
no. So when it comes to picking a franchise, give me some of your advice for the listeners. A lot of people listening are thinking a franchise might be right for them, but they're also wondering, there's 4,000 options. How do I know what is best for me? What are some of your thoughts on that?
So the first thing is pick something that you're passionate about. So, and that doesn't mean that means in any segment. If you love burgers, then you want to be in something that you love. If you aren't crazy about the food that you're going to be selling, it's the wrong franchise for you.
Yeah.
And I mean that's the basic point. Then start looking to see which one will give you the growth opportunity to get to 1, 3, 5, 7, 10, 12. And if you're starting out and you're in this stage, you're wanting to see who you can grow with and where you can go with that fact. Um, and those are the two biggest ones that I look at. It's finding the right partner that actually is going to believe in that partnership with you and helping you grow. And you have that white space because nobody
Yeah.
wants to buy a job. And buying one restaurant or one franchise is buying a job, as you said earlier. So find the group that will allow you to have multiple and have that opportunity. Obviously, if you're a bigger investor and stuff like that, you can go and buy a group of your favorite stores that are for sale somewhere and go to town. That's a different investment.
Yeah.
But if you're just starting off in this industry, find somebody that's willing to give you the opportunity and the tools to learn the industry, grow with them, and then
Yeah.
hopefully become a millionaire down the line, as so many have in the past.
One thing you just said, as you know, it's pretty tough when someone is selling, three locations of a restaurant franchise. It's like a friend of mine recently acquired some. He's in the same brand and exiting franchisees. A lot of times they're selling to existing franchisees because it's easier because the franchisor
True.
has that first right of refusal in most cases, right?
Yep. And I mean, and it's always hard. Getting into the industry is hard. Most new
Yeah.
people sign up with emerging brands for that reason.
Yeah.
And that's, again, why we wanted to create Craveworthy the way we did. We wanted to be that get into a big brand, but an emerging brand individually. Get into that big company, but an emerging brand that you can grow with and write your own history. Um,
So So let's talk a little bit about your process. So if somebody listening is interested in any of the Craveworthy brands and they're looking up your website right now, what is that process like? And is there a meet the team day at the end or a discovery day? Is there a validation process? They get to talk to franchisees. Describe that a little bit.
So instantly you fill out the form, you get a phone call within 24 hours from the sales team. We then walk you through what the process would be like, and that would dictate, hey, let's get you financially qualified is one of the first things that we do. So you have to get financially qualified and pass your background check for us to move on to the next step. And the reason why that's so important is I don't want to waste anybody's time, or I don't want to talk about the brand you fill out the app for if you can only qualify for one of the other brands in my portfolio. And then we'll have that conversation. After you fill out both of those and you come back and we sort of have another conversation about what you really can and cannot do, we then get you the FDDs of multiple brands in the portfolio for you to look like. Now, that's something that most people can't do
Yeah.
because they only are selling the one brand. We want you
Yep.
to look at multiple opportunities
I love
because
that.
you never know which one's going to, you know, you don't know what you're going to find passion for if we
Yeah.
don't show you everything. After that, you get a call again with me, and we jump on a phone call with you, and we have a conversation about how hard this industry is. And I try to scare the crap out of you so you do not do it. And at the same time, I'm there to answer questions about the restaurant industry, answer about how we go. And then if you're still feeling it after all that, and after I tell you it's the hardest thing you're ever going to do, and do you still want to do it, then we go ahead and get you in and we have you out at one of the restaurants. And at that point, you get to meet the rest of the team and sort of shake hands and see what everything's going on. And then we ask you to make a decision.
I love it.
We move at your pace, which is different than most places. Most places want you to close, 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 close. We close as fast and we go as fast as that you want to. But we don't push after that fact. It's okay if the process and you're thinking about it takes 6 months. if it takes a year and as you put everything together, that's just part of the process.
Yeah.
Where I've been part of other companies that say if you don't close within 45 to 60 days after they come in, you're never going to get them. That's true. But again, the people that want to move fast are the ones that are passionate about what they're doing. But you got to make sure they have the right time and enough time to make the right decision on what they do.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were going to think about the top 10% of franchisees across all of the Craveworthy portfolio right now, what do they all have in common?
They have a passion for the industry. They have a passion for building their culture, and they have a passion for wanting to be and grow themselves and continue to grow to the next level. The ones that are the hungriest are the ones that make the best franchisees. The ones that want to and help, and I hate to say it, but have a chip on their shoulder.
Yeah,
They want to be the best and they want to prove that they're the ones that can go out there and get to two, three, four, and five stores. Those are the
that
ones that are always the best franchisees.
that
It,
competitive spirit.
yep.
Yeah.
And
And
that's what's exciting.
and what is the age range? I'm always curious because it seems like, in the old days, it was a 50-year-old man that was a typical franchisee in the old days. It's getting much, much younger these days. So what
It
is
is
that
because
age?
everyone wants to be their own boss.
Yeah,
And that's what's so cool about this industry is that the young generation wants to be your own boss. And so they don't want to work for anyone. They see these TikTok stars, they see all these other ways to make money. They don't want to go and punch a clock anymore. And
yeah,
so they're getting into this younger and because they have investment money from these other things, and they're jumping in and starting to build their next level and their income stream. And
yeah,
they think different. They don't want to work the hours that we work back in the day. They want to get to that multi-unit stage a hell of a lot faster.
yeah. And last question on that. What did I would imagine from an occupational standpoint, like you're alluding to, they all did different things. It wasn't like teacher, lawyer, accountant. I mean, you started with that financial background. I always tell people, managing people and finances are two of the best qualities to be a franchisee for anything, because that's
Yeah.
two of the most difficult things usually, right?
What is amazing, if I had to pick one industry that most people come from as their first application, it's usually tech or engineer. And those are the two biggest ones that we see in the applications to this day. Um, and then it's, accountants and finance people and all that, but tech and engineer are the two highest ones.
Interesting.
Um, and they're system people. And so they want to follow a system. They want to just get in and follow the system. They believe in systems. And it's amazing that those are the ones that are your first in line.
So Greg, what do you say to people that hear this and they say, well, if it's not McDonald's or Chipotle, which doesn't even franchise, or Chick-fil-A, which you can't get one of those, it's not a huge brand like that, I could start my own business and do it myself. What do you say to that age-old question?
Well, you definitely can. You're 5 to 7 times more likely to fail
Yeah,
because you haven't done it before. So if you want to go and do that and you want to go and experience and get the background and the knowledge from actually working for somebody else and then go and start your own. Starting your own is a wonderful thing. I've started my own brands. It's fun. It's great. Big paydays if you do it right. But it's so much harder to get there. And
yeah,
so if you really want to go fast and you really want the chance of success, franchising is always your best option. It's a proven track record. You get systems and procedures, and then it's up to you to just operate your four walls and build your business. You don't have to worry about any of the other items that are out there that brings down so many brands. Your food is picked, you have your suppliers, everything comes to you. You've just got to be a great operator and a great marketer because you still are a marketer. And that's what everyone forgets in this industry. You buy a franchise, your number one job, serve great food and market the crap out of your restaurant.
yep. I love it. How do you define proven brand? What is the magic number or idea of what is proven? As you can imagine, a lot of people come to me and say, I want a proven brand. Then I flip it around on them. And I go, what is proven to you? And they say, oh, like 500 locations or more. And I say,
That's
well,
a home run brand.
yeah,
That's more than proven.
yeah,
So proven brand to me is the operator and the people behind it know what the hell they're doing. And that's the most important piece. And if you want to get in at those earlier stages and have that runway to go where you want to go, you're investing in the team behind the brand as much as you're investing in the brand. And the people that have made all the money in the world are the ones that got into Jimmy John's before there was 50 restaurants, because they got away with so much more on build out costs because the franchisor was hungry to grow and they gave away bigger territories, bigger options, all those things. Once a brand gets going, the franchisor is in full control. And your territories are going to start to shrink because now they're thinking, oh my God, I can put 30 in this market instead of the 20 I originally think. And that's just what naturally happens. So to me, I look for a brand that is just getting started and where I can sort of quickly be the loudest voice in the room, where then they're going to listen to me and find the right partner behind the brands that you believe in and people that really want to make you win. There's no guarantee, but you have to find partners that want to have you be the success that you should be and put you first and not just them. And the franchisor does not make money right away. And so the franchisees must. And if you're winning, the franchisor ends up winning in the end. It's more stores are going to open. And that's the brand I want to be a part of.
yeah. Greg, you have given us a tremendous amount of great information. I appreciate you being here. Final thoughts, final words of wisdom for the audience.
Take your time, find something that you absolutely love to do, and then go for it because you only live once. And franchising is one of the greatest things in the industry to do. I love this industry, and I do think it's a way for people to create that generational wealth. It's the American dream over and over again for so many. Don't miss your opportunity.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you.
If you're ready to talk about franchise opportunities, hit the link below to schedule a call. My services are free, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for listening.